Hi, I'm 𝐼𝐬𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐥. As a strategist, I always start by analyzing the tactics and strategies used by my opponents. I never want to make the mistake of underestimating them. In fact, I often give them more credit than they deserve, just to stay sharp. But in this case, I've got to tell you that every time I think the Democrats couldn't possibly be more out of touch with the American people, they manage to prove me wrong. And not just wrong, but spectacularly wrong. My apologies in advance because I will be unable to contain some sarcasm in this message. Here we go. You just can't make this stuff up. The Democrat Party just spent $20 million on a project called SAM, which stands for Speaking with American Men. The goal, to figure out why so many young guys are shifting towards Trump. Here's what their $20 million bought them. They need to shift from a moralizing tone. They need to advertise in video games. They need to invest in male-dominated online spaces and, quote, listen more than lecture. That's right, this brilliant Democrat think tank funded by your tax dollars determined that American men don't like being lectured, they want to be heard, and they don't enjoy being talked down to in a demoralizing way. Who knew? But because they didn't go to Harvard, they're just too stupid to understand why the Democratic Party is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Therefore, they can't grasp why censorship is now called freedom, why inflation is transitory and good for you, and why propping up a figurehead in the White House is somehow both constitutional and preferable as long as it's not Trump. Naturally, they've determined that there's nothing wrong with the Democrat Party. Therefore, it must just be a messaging problem. If they run ads on Call of Duty because Democrats assume young men care more about video games than women, and if they sprinkle in buzzwords they think will resonate like toxic masculinity or emotional vulnerability, and if they just speak slowly enough, they'll win them back. I find it ironic that the word think is even in their tank. It's never occurred to a single one of them to have an actual conversation with a young American man and ask why they switched to Donald Trump. And to be honest, that was probably wise because the response they would get would likely hurt their sensitive feelings. They likely don't want to hear what young men really think about Donald Trump closing the borders and deporting illegal aliens, or about trans men competing with their women, or about drag queens teaching kids and gay scenes being forced into every movie, TV show, and Disney cartoon, or the fact that LGBTQ issues aren't dominating the minds of every 20-something guy just trying to build a life in this broken economy. Oh, and yes, most of those real American men prefer real American women. Here's a tip, Democrats. Changing your messaging, tone, or where you advertise is not going to change their beliefs or values. And here's the kicker. The entire plan was intended to help Democrats sound less condescending. Oops, failed again. So they spent millions analyzing young men like they are an alien species without even bothering to engage them directly. Nope. Just run ads on video games of AOC demonstrating how to put on her makeup or Bernie Sanders screaming at rich white people and call it a strategy. 20 million well spent. The disconnect couldn't be more obvious. It's never occurred to them that they are the problem, not the message. In fact, American men got the message loud and clear, and that's why they voted for Donald Trump. Thanks for watching. I'm 𝐼𝐬𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐥.